it's a pleasure to be here, and in addition to the remarks I conveyed on behalf of Lisa Kingo, share some highlights from a recent study of CEOs that the Global Compact, CEO study that the Global Compact undertook with Accenture, part of a series of over a decade of reports that we've produced with Accenture Strategy. I think this is on point in terms of us unpacking what are the incentives of business engagement in partnerships for the SDGs. So just to frame this year's report, I'll back up to 2016. The CEO study that year focused on understanding businesses' reactions to the SDGs. You know, how were companies adapting to the new landscape? And there were some really helpful insights from that study with nearly 1,000 CEOs surveyed. 95% felt that they had a personal responsibility to ensure their companies had a core purpose and a role in society. And we're hearing more and more about companies feeling purpose-driven, which aligns well with the SDGs. 80% in that survey said that demonstrating a commitment to societal purpose was already differentiating them in their industry as a company. And 87% saw the SDGs already, this is 2016, as an essential opportunity to rethink their approaches to creating value as a company for shareholders and for the broader community. 85%, very encouraging, also saw cross-sector efforts as really critical to enabling us to make progress on the SDGs. So with that understanding, in 2017, we shifted focus and wanted to look at UN leadership and develop a better understanding of the landscape of the UN in terms of its ability to take up business, which is increasingly really quite interested in the SDGs. So we asked UN leadership across the UN system and over 30 entities participating, what will it take to scale up partnerships to bring about the kind of transformations we need to see to create impact on the SDGs. And we found some pretty interesting results which very much align with a lot of the work that the inspector and his team at the JIU undertook around the same time. So it's, as I said this morning, it's great to see us pulling in the same direction, drawing similar observations and you know, really having shared perspective. So a lot of this will be familiar to those of you who've read some of the other materials being shared today. So across the board, UN leaders feel that more effort is needed to engage with the private sector given this growing interest, 100% in fact. But against this backdrop of real goodwill and intention, very few actually believe that their organizations are currently doing enough to leverage the interest of the private sector. And there are some key barriers that we need to address. And again, much of this should be familiar to you. Skill sets and capability gaps, resource constraints, which prohibit us from or hold us back from exploring really new, innovative, transformational partnership models and keep us in sort of older modes of interaction, focus more on philanthropy. Restrictive legal policies and procedures, and we've heard this from a few private sector participants, that can sometimes create undue delays which really disincentivize the private sector from engaging. Cultural differences, and this is a difficult one. It's sometimes the elephant in the room, but there's still a lot of discomfort with the idea that businesses can be motivated by profitability and still be advancing the SDGs. So this is something that we need to be ever mindful of and do more to address. So given these kind of challenges, traditional approaches, unfortunately, are still quite persistent. There are, we estimate, more than 1,500 active UN business partnerships across the system, but most of them are bilateral arrangements, so not yet scaled up, not yet sufficiently multi-stakeholder, often with just one corporate partner, and often lasting less than 5 years. So we need to lengthen our time horizons and engage a much broader ecosystem if we're to see the transformations that we really need to have. So how do we do that? How do we transform and scale? Well, a majority of the UN does agree we need to move to longer-term strategic partnerships, and they know that to do that, we need to more effectively measure, track, and communicate the value of engaging with the UN. We need to define clearer value propositions for our corporate partners and ensure that we communicate internally and externally the value of collaboration to really build momentum and develop solutions together that we just couldn't in isolation. A lot of this energy and this strategic direction needs to go towards innovative financing mechanisms. Again, across the board, most UN entities recognize that we need to explore innovative financing, engaging the private sector on financing for development, but there's an urgent need to build new skill sets and expertise to realize these goals. There are a lot of examples in the partnership report that I won't have time to go into, but I encourage you to read it. We didn't print the report. It's just available digitally on the Global Compact website, but in all regions with a number of different UN agencies and different companies, great examples. And drawing from those, we've tried to put together some guidance, a roadmap for business leaders to try to help them navigate the UN collaboration space and scale their collaboration and impact. So at each stage of the partnership cycle, we hope that ideas that we offer can help companies and the UN have partnership success. So the I of identifying is, as we heard from Iberdrola, figuring out which SDGs are most relevant. And so for business leaders, that's important. And for partnership practitioners, supporting that, helping companies identify resources that can help them navigate the SDGs is critical. The D of develop. For business leaders, ensuring that you're cultivating partnership champions and empowering staff to really support collaboration is critical. Time and again in preparing this study, we heard that without specific individuals championing partnerships, it's very hard for partnerships to survive and thrive. And for partnership practitioners on the UN side and in other sectors as well, echoing what Christian said, knowing your strengths, so doing an inventory, understanding your value proposition, being very clear about what you offer to prospective corporate partners. And we recommend doing a partnership readiness assessment, really a 360 of your organization to understand your capabilities, where your gaps may lie, and outline clear internal processes for managing partnerships. And then the E is engaging, so encouraging in particular corporate leaders to continue to engage with UN leaders to build that momentum and further those relationships. And for partnership practitioners, making sure that there's alignment on specific objectives and KPIs and regular communications. We heard a number of instances of partnerships with the best of intentions that unfortunately go off the rails just due to the simple fact that the different actors involved weren't checking in with each other enough. So it sounds simple, but it's really important not to forget. And take action, maintaining those kinds of regular follow-ups on the part of business leaders, empowering partnership teams, setting expectations, supporting a risk management approach, but also ensuring there's flexibility and an ability to sort of change according to the winds. For partnership practitioners, ensuring that you're really mapping progress against KPIs. Unfortunately, in the UN system, this remains a rarity in terms of best practice, and it's critical to ensure we maintain momentum and succeed. So internalizing for business leaders the partnership methodologies and learnings and trying to mainstream them through your business models to ensure that you are creating that scale that we desperately need to achieve Agenda 2030. And for partnership practitioners, communicating the impact once you've measured it via KPIs, illustrative anecdotes, events like this, making sure that internal and external stakeholders understand the value of partnership and we build support for this work. And this is really critical to do on an ongoing basis and refreshing the business case and the value proposition as on the ground conditions continue to evolve quite dramatically. So we hope that this framework is helpful for colleagues both in the UN, in business, and in other sectors to sort of have a refreshed approach to the way we collaborate and to take partnerships to the next level.
Thanks for being a little bit late.
Thanks very
There's
much.
a few technical problems.
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.